would be hard to find a more loyal or passionate person when it comes to the subject of Camp Dudley than Kenya. One alumnus put it in this way: when Ted Smith bleeds, the color is definitely Dudley and Kenya blue. Ted first came to Dudley in 1979, and now a mere 35 years ago. It was a great fit, and he continued through leadership, serving as PD head in 1994, and later in the staff ranks. Even now, Ted offers to help at Dudley each summer, volunteering his time in order to get back one more time. Ted graduated from Middlebury College here in Vermont, and then taught at Brewster Academy in Massachusetts, and the Woodbury Forest Schools in Virginia. For the past 16 years, Ted has been a well-respected and also loved teacher, administrator, and coach at Berwick Academy in Maine. There he has taught French, coached boys JV soccer, and is currently dean of the upper school, handling academics and discipline. He has also been a college counselor, so if any of you ALs and JLs are in need of a few tips on how to get into college of your dreams, line up to chat with Ted. Dudley has recognized Ted's leadership and his go-to guy characteristics by asking him to head the Camp Dudley Association and also to serve as a current member of the Board of Managers. He is an outstanding listener and a source of support and encouragement for many. The latest Dudley project that Ted helped initiate and see through from concept to completion is the Middlebury Pavilion, an incredible new structure on the Dudley campus that serves as an outdoor theater and a bandstand. Secretly, Ted is hoping that his very own rock band, the Golden Boots, will be offered a gig there before long. Ted does not let the grass grow. In his spare time, he has climbed 36 of the 46 Adirondack peaks. Ted and his wife, Laura, have 3 children. Margot, number 21064, who spent 5 summers at Kenya, and her brothers, Tucker, number 22064, and Crosby, number 23064. Ted says, I now love and respect the place from a different view, that of a parent, which has been as special as my own experience as a camper. Please join me with a warm welcome, a warm Kenya welcome to today's speaker, Ted Smith.
Good morning. I want to start by thanking Marnie and Kat, and certainly Lisa, for having me here. It's one of the great honors of my life to be with you this morning. I was a little bit disappointed to not be outside in the Lois Schmidt Chapel, but then on the drive over this morning, I quickly realized that it's not where you are, but it's who you're with. And in that spirit, I ask us all to take a quick moment to think about someone or some people that you care for, that you love, who may or may not be here today. So let's please be together in a moment of silent thought. Thank you. I feel blessed to have spent the last couple of days with you all here. As Lisa just said, my daughter Margot has a Kiwi disc, and this place means the world to us. I realized yesterday, I remembered that there is absolutely nothing in the world like a meal at Kenya. One of my favorite quotes comes from a French author, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, who wrote a book called Le Petit Prince, The Little Prince, who says, L'essentiel est invisible aux yeux, which literally means the essential is invisible to the eyes. A looser translation says you cannot see or touch the most important things in life. You cannot touch love or peace or happiness or your spirit. You cannot touch the idea of putting the other fellow first. Those things in your heart and in your mind that make up your true self are far more important than what you wear, than how you look, or what kind of cell phone you might have. I want to tell you a story about martial arts. Martial arts are a collection of combat sports where people compete against one another in judo or taekwondo or wrestling. And depending on how good you earn a different colored belt that goes around your white martial arts uniform. A black belt is the best. It's the highest ranking a martial artist can get. A red or a green belt might be like your high five award as a first or second year camper at Kinnear. The black belt would be like a Kiwi disc, the top award for someone who has put a lot of time into one particular place. And in martial arts, there's a spiritual side too, and students have a master who is in charge. Kind of like Marnie, or maybe like your Kiwi disc mentor, the master in charge of your spiritual side. So here's the story. A young martial artist is kneeling before the master in a ceremony to receive her hard-earned black belts. Maybe not unlike your Kiwi disc ceremony on Friday night. After years and years of constant training, the student has finally reached the top achievement in the sport, the black belt. And with the student kneeling before her, the master says, before granting the belt, you must pass one more test. I am ready, responds the student, expecting perhaps one final round of fighting, but rather than more physical combat, the master simply says, you must answer the final question. So imagine all these years of training and then being surprised with one final test. The student was shocked, but she thought she was ready for anything. So the master asks, what is the true meaning of the black belt? And remember that, as I said earlier, you cannot touch the essential things. The student quickly responds, the black belt is the end of my journey, a well-deserved reward for all of my hard work. The master is not satisfied and waits for more until finally the master speaks. You are not yet ready for the black belt. Return in 1 year. So imagine all that hard work and no black belt. Disappointed, the student continues to work on her judo, but she has learned to also work on her heart and on her mind. And a year later, the student kneels again in front of the master who asks, what is the essential meaning of the black belt? And this time the student responds, the black belt is a symbol of distinction and the highest achievement in our art. The master says nothing for many, many minutes, waiting. And again, she's not satisfied. So she says, you are still not ready for the black belt. Return in 1 year. A year later, after more work on her judo, but more work on her heart and mind, the student kneels one final time in front of the master, and again the master asks, what's the essential meaning of the black belt? And this time the student responds, the black belt represents the beginning, the start of a never-ending journey of work and the pursuit of a higher standard. And this next part is key. The student finishes by saying, and now it is my duty to share what I have learned. The master smiles and says, yes, you are now ready to receive the black belt and to begin your work. So how does this relate to you all sitting here in front of me? Let's say that you're about to receive your high five award this week because you've been a good camper for this session. And some of you are even more like the black belt student. 2 days ago, you received your Kiwi disc for 4 years of being a good Kinnear camper. And you may think that that's the end of your Kinnear journey for this summer or forever. But let's consider Marnie as the master. And when she gives you those awards, she might ask, what is the essential meaning of the High Five Award or the Kiwi disc, or even just your Kinnear experience? What is the essential meaning of it? So think about that right now. How would you answer Marnie if she asked you that question? What is the essential meaning of it? Would you reply as a young martial arts student first did, that it's the end of your journey? If you did, Marnie or your Kiwi disc mentor might tell you that that's not good enough and that you need to return in a year. In your next year back, you return to Marnie seeking your award, and she would ask again, what is the essential meaning? So I ask you today, with 1 week left in the summer of 2014, can you figure out the essential meaning of your Kinnear experience? The black belt student finally figured it out when she said, the black belt represents the beginning, the start of a never-ending journey of work and the pursuit of a higher standard. But don't forget that the student continued, now it is my duty to share what I have learned. Your Kinney experience and hopefully your High Five Award or Kiwi Disc represent the beginning, the start of that never-ending journey. And it will be your duty to share what you have learned. So how do you do this? How can you share what you have learned with your friends and with your family when you go home in a week? The theme of this week is growth. And actually, when I first heard that, I wondered, why is growth the theme for the final week rather than the first week? But growth is kind of a funny word, isn't it? Are your leaders asking you to get taller in the last week of camp? Of course not. Your leaders are asking you to grow in the essential ways, in your heart and in your mind. The essential things in life are not black belts or the actual Kiwi Disc, but rather the journey that you take in earning those awards, and more importantly, what you do with them after you have received them. So grow this week in your heart and grow this week in your mind. Try a new activity. Go meet someone you haven't met. Get up on stage. Try to go one level higher on the ropes course. Or simply go up to someone and say something nice about her. But grow somehow. Grow, expand, push yourself to that higher standard in your heart, in your mind. But I caution you, sometimes simply doing new things is not enough. Sometimes the greatest growth in a person happens when you are not trying to do anything at all, but be yourself. Sometimes the greatest growth in a person occurs when you simply accept yourself for who you are. Or like I heard from the cabin yesterday at the ropes course, you do you. What a wonderfully simple quote to live by. You do you, and be yourself. And isn't Kinney the perfect place to be yourself? It's easy to put the other fellow first when everyone else is. It's easy to dress in funny clothes, sing songs, and have dance parties, chant and cheer like maniacs at every meal except for breakfast. Or to simply put the drama and the craziness of the real world aside for 4 weeks and cherish the people around. So here's my final question to all of you. From the youngest junior villagers down front here, to the Kiwi Disc girls, to the leaders, and even to the staff, why would you stop growing in these ways when the camp season ends? Everything I just mentioned, meeting someone or trying something new, saying something nice, is pretty easy to do here, but isn't it easy to do at home too? So the question is, can you bring Kinney home with you? If you've been your true self here, why would that change at home? And can you let this week and this session be the beginning rather than the end of the Kinney experience, and share it when you leave? This too may be easier than you think. You accept yourself for who you are, and continue to behave at home the same way you act here. You are sharing what you have learned, like the black belt student. You are showing others that being yourself is the most essential thing you can be or do, that putting the other fellow first is more important than anything. You're showing them that the essential things in life you cannot see or touch. It is your heart and mind that matter more than anything at all. Let us join together in a closing prayer of reflection. Give us strength to take this Kinney experience, our awards, our black belts, and Kiwi Discs, to take our growth home with us, and let it be the beginning, the start of a never-ending journey of work and the pursuit of a higher standard. And when we return home, it will be our duty to share what we have learned. Amen.